Hey, how we doing? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me as always.
Always. It's always great to get your point of view and get your what's left over from any kind of spleen venting that might have happened in the post game show over the weekend. But your locale is different. You're not going to be yelled at 9:30.
Yeah, no, I'm back at the office today. So yeah, we got a full day. Don't worry, she'll have her moment of clarity at about 2:30 when I get back home. So we'll have to deal with it then.
Okay, like I said, because we all know how the bosses rule the roosts, and it's like I have to go out now, and so of course I've got the rowdy one. He is down here guarding the office, and so literally that's just how he is. I mean, literally he'll sleep all day. I mean, he is the best guardian ever of the gate. He'll sit there, and it's like if he hears something, he's instantly motivated, ready to go. But otherwise, he's just out. OUT out. Let's talk Atlanta United, and let's talk about Atlanta United and Nashville. It was an opportunity to unleash the Sleesh, get him off the schneid. But now that you've had some time to think about it, what sticks in your head from this road game?
Yeah, a couple of things, and I think we'll start here. Anytime there's a draw, right? Some draws feel like wins, some draws feel like draws, and some draws feel like losses. This, to me, really was a draw that kind of just felt like a draw.
Mm-hmm.
You go on the road, you're hoping to get a result. You're obviously hoping to get the full three. I thought there was an opportunity for that, but you go down 1-0 in what, despite what Taylor Twellman seems to see.
And others, yeah.
Very, very questionable. Very, very questionable in terms of that penalty and on-swing penalty kick. But look, you go down in the first half, you have to hit halftime and you have to regroup. You make a couple of tactical changes. So credit to Gonzalo Pineda. I know a lot of listeners don't like us giving credit anymore to Gonzalo Pineda, but he did a couple of things at halftime, including replacing Firmino and TRA. And it did seem to have an impact up top. You went more to a 4-4-2 with two guys up there. And you do find an equalizing goal, as you mentioned, from Bartosz Leash. And so, it was a 1-1 game. It was pretty much a must-have result. Again, I thought there was opportunities for it to be the full three. But still relatively pleased with the performance. You could see the guys, not that there wasn't pressure on them. There certainly is, but they didn't play like they had in the past where you kind of felt like they were weighed down by the pressure. And look, to do that on the road with no number 9 and no number 10, or not no number 9, but not your number 9, not your number 10. Right. I mean, how many teams could go on the road without two of their DPs, their two highest paid players, and pick up a result? So I think it's a job well done. Now the question is simple. Is it the start of the pendulum swinging back the other way? It can't be an isolated individual result. It has to be the start of something, and that's a tall task when you have LAFC and you have at home, and then you have Inter Miami on the road. And can you kind of tread water until you get that Charlotte and Houston back-to-back and you find some winnable games at Mercedes-Benz Stadium? That's going to be the question. It cannot be a lone, isolated result. It has to lead to something.
Well, then you add to that what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
With Open Cup, and it's a road trip to Charleston to take on the Battery out of USL Championship. And it's an opportunity to advance one step closer to another trophy, which would get you immediately into the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza next time around. And you're wondering, okay, it's all about navigating the roster and what you have and who's healthy and how many minutes. And I've got this matchup on Tuesday, and then I've got LAFC. So this is this is juggling chainsaws for any MLS team that's at this point of their schedule that's in Open Cup tomorrow in the midweek. But, specifically here, Gonzalo Pineda is having to juggle a lot of chainsaws here with Charleston, with LAFC, with Inter Miami, just to get through the end of the month.
Yeah, it's a really, really difficult situation with your roster management because of how many midweek games the MLS is playing at this point in the season. To add this other midweek game, incredibly difficult, not to mention the injuries you're dealing with, both in terms of who is available, but also who's completely unavailable, right? And so there's a situation where Steon Gregerson's not 90 minutes fit yet. We saw that over the weekend. And so you're probably not going to throw him into a situation in the U.S. Open Cup where he just got hurt in the last U.S. Open Cup game. And so very concerned about his availability. Now, how does that circle back? Well, Noah Cobb's got a banged up foot, so now he's unavailable. You just saw Luis Abram and Steon paired. You still don't have Derek Williams. So what are you doing in your back, right? And that moves forward into what are you doing on your outside? What are you doing through your midfield? What are you doing up top? I will say this. Nick Firmino was pulled after about 45 minutes at halftime there. And a lot of that was probably tactical. But I do think there was probably a mindset of we're going to need this guy to run havoc on Tuesday as well. And certainly he stepped up in the last U.S. Open Cup with the 2 goals. I think it's going to be another youth movement, which is going to make it incredibly tough because a lot of those guys also played Saturday evening in Huntsville. And so you're going to be taxing them as well. They're not going to be fully fresh. They're not going to be necessarily raring to go either. I think last time they had played maybe on a Friday night. This time it was on a Saturday night. So a day less of rest and recovery for even the younger guys. So it's going to be a kind of a mix and match, very difficult to figure out what they're doing tactically. I'll be honest. The other issue here is that Charleston is not the Charlotte Independents.
No.
This is a team that's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight games since their last draw.
Yeah.
And then they had 2 wins before that. They have not lost a match this season in any tournament or any league play. So this is not your normal squad, and you are going on the road. This is a very difficult side. The good news is in soccer, anything can happen, and the ball bounces weird, even though it's circular. And so very hopeful that we can see something, but it is not going to be easy. And a lot of that is because you are pressed so thin due to injuries and due to the schedule and timing.
Now, I know that Nick Markanich is going to end up being in the spot shadow for Gonzalo Pineda and his staff. Markanich is the double-digit goal scorer so far for the Charleston Battery, and Ben Pierman really has them rolling in the year plus that he's been down there. So, this is not the perpetual pushover that you think of in lower divisions by any stretch of the imagination. And so it is going to be a true test. It will be interesting to see what the lineup looks like tomorrow because, once again, as we mentioned, schedule compression is still the way of the beast right now when it comes to what we're staring at. It's like, all right, so what does it look like Tuesday to get you ready for LAFC? It's just, I mean, I don't wish this on anybody. I mean, yeah, I know you're chasing trophies and I know you're chasing wins and I know you're trying to get through the car crash and demolition derby that is the Eastern Conference. But I mean, this is really like, this is flowchart city, and I wasn't all that great at math. It's like, if A, then B, and if B, then C, and you've got to sit there and plug and play. I mean, this is madness, man.
Well, and to make it worse, I don't believe that Charleston played a weekend match.
They Birmingham midweek last week. They had nothing going on except looking at Atlanta United.
And so even more benefit to them. It's also a situation where if the season had been playing out differently for Atlanta United, maybe you look at the U.S. Open Cup a little bit differently than you are right now. But to me, despite the limitations in roster and obviously the schedule compression, all that stuff, this is a tournament that at least in my mind is continually growing in importance for what Atlanta United needs to accomplish this season. And it's something that is kind of counter to what we all thought this was going to be, right? We thought it was like, let's just play the twos or whomever academy. Let's lose and get out of this tournament. But now that you're in it, now that you kind of sniffed a victory already, and now that the MLS season has gone the way that it has gone, to me, it does feel more and more important to continually rack up wins. But you're also mixed with the idea that you just can't put the roster out there that you necessarily want to. And so, it is just a tough time for it all to be coming together, mixed in with You're not playing New England or Chicago on Saturday. You're hosting LAFC, and then after that, it is Inter Miami. It is just a really, really difficult run right now. This is going to be your second of 3 straight road games, or I think, and then or third of 3 straight road games. But it's a rough go.
Can we talk to the schedule makers a little bit and sit there and find out who angered them to give the schedule the way that this is laid out, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way the MLS, and you have to wonder how the international breaks play into it, and they're really trying to get things going before that. I guess it's a week off, week plus coming there at the start of the June. I know you play June 2nd and then not again until June 15th.
Right.
So they're trying to make up the matches, but it is really difficult. And I know, you look at some of the other sports and how often they play, and you might say, "Oh, come on, you can't play two times a week." But it is a little bit different, and I don't want to compare it to American football because everyone's going to tell me it's not the same. Your body doesn't need that recovery. But it really does. It really does. It's your legs as well. I don't know the last NFL player that ran 8.3 miles in a NFL game. But you do see that consistently from a number of players out there in the MLS. So it is a little bit different.
Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, as he always does. He always drops by and spreads his wisdom on Mondays. And it's always great to get his point of view on things. When it comes to what we saw, I mean, obviously we sit there and it's like, okay, Bartosz Slisz got off the schneid. I think it was great to see Stian Gregerson get the minutes in that he did and get him closer to being at full song. When it came to, all right, we'll treat it like hockey. We'll treat it like hockey. Being as we are in the postseason for chasing after the 50-pound cup. Who were your 3 stars for Atlanta United in the matchup on the weekend in Nashville? Who were your 3 stars?
Yeah, probably in no specific order. I would say Stian Gregerson was certainly one of them. And I had this conversation with Garrett Chapman in the pregame, but even more so once we saw the result in the postgame. And I had Jason Longshore on my show over the weekend and asked him about it too. I think we probably under-discussed the absence of our first-team center backs. And we did that because we thought Luis Abram and Noah Klopp were playing at a high level, and they were. But I also think when you look at what happened, specifically the last 2 matches before Nashville, with Benteke winning 3-header goals, with the younger cousin of Travis Kelce, Kevin Kelce, putting home a header goal as well. You do wonder what difference it would have made with Gregerson back there. And I'm not saying that Benteke would have been shut out. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I don't think it would have been a trio of goals there, all from headers. And so we probably under-discussed what it meant to this defense not having your first-team center backs in Gregerson and Williams back there. And again, like props to Morales, who filled in, certainly Cobb and Abram. But if you go back to when they were healthy, this was looked at as one of the best defenses at the start of the season in the MLS. And a lot of that might be in regards to who you were, playing at that time as well. But it was good to see Gregerson back there. And he was doing some of the things that you asked him to do. And what does that mean? It means the guys above him can play a little bit more recklessly, play a little bit more dangerously. And that's why Bartosz Slisz is my second star of the game here. And that is because he was able to get up the field. He was able to do some of the things I've been hoping to see him do. And most notably, put some shots on goal from range. And I thought he was able to do that, certainly on the goal. But I think he's able to play higher up the field because of the fact that Gregerson is back there, and it allows him to do a lot of things. And then my third star, just out of yes, out of performance, but mostly just out of role and what he was asked to do, is Caleb Wiley. You push him high up on the left into a position that, with the exception of a couple of minute run in the U.S. Open Cup, you have not used him high left in how long? And he steps into the left attacking role pretty much seamlessly. For the first time all season, he's got space to use his speed and ability to take guys on one-on-one. I do think he was dangerous. You make a couple substitutions. What does he do? As the ultimate team player, he steps back into his role at left cornerback. I just think you just can't overstate what it means to have a guy at his age, the ability to adapt to that role. Because we've also seen, and we've seen it at every level, guys that are asked to play up top and they get pushed to the back get lost in their positioning, and they get caught staying up top, staying with the attack mentality, and it ultimately can cost the team. And that was not the case for Caleb Wiley. I think it's incredibly impressive for him to show, not that we're surprised by the versatility, but just to remind us that he does have that in his bag. So those would be my 3 stars.
Yeah, right there with you, sir. Broadcast plans for what's going on with 92.9 The Game and yet another very busy week involving Atlanta United.
Yeah, just to remember, it's a little bit earlier than normal kickoff for the U.S. Open Cup. So pregame with myself and Garrett is going to start at 6 o'clock right here on 92.9 The Game. And then obviously we'll hand things off to Mike and Jason for the 7 o'clock kickoff. And then certainly we'll have the weekend action as well. That one, LAFC back at home, back at the Benz, excited for that. And hopefully an opportunity, again, that pendulum, if Nashville, if that draw on the road down a goal, if it's swinging back the right way, it can't be an isolated incident. So separate of whatever happens Tuesday in the U.S. Open Cup, let's see if they can get another MLS result on the weekend. That's the plan. That's the goal. And 92.9 Game will have all your coverage for it. So very excited.
Hey, man. Exactly. That is absolutely true. Looking forward to the early start with you and Chap on Tuesday and then getting ready for LAFC on the weekend. Thanks as always, my friend. Great to have you kicking off our week here on Reaction Monday here on SDH.
You bet, John. Always happy to be here.